Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Sunday, January 6, 2018. We're just going to get right into things. NFL wild card round of the playoffs. One blowout and one pretty good game. The Colts defeat the Texans 21-7 as they move on to take on the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday night next week. Great win for Andrew Luck and the Colts. Luck had 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Deshaun Watson, 29 of 49, 235 yards, a touchdown, and the pick. Most of that was in garbage time, so he really didn't have that great of a game. Colts broke this open early. First quarter, 6 yards from Andrew Luck to Eric Ebron, 7-0. Ron Mack, 2-yard run, 14-0. Second quarter, Dontrell Inman, 18-yarder from Luck, 21-0. Fourth quarter, garbage time touchdown from Watson to Kiki Kuti to make it a 21-7 game. There's a lot of turnovers in this game. Bill O'Brien went for it on fourth down a couple times, in which the Colts got the big stop on fourth down. That was a big difference in this game as well. The Cowboys defeat the Seahawks 24-22. As Jason Garrett probably saved his job with this game. Dak Prescott, 22 of 33, 226 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Russell Wilson, 18 of 27, 233 yards and a touchdown. The thing that sucks about this game is that Seattle's kicker, Sebastian Janikowski, pulled his hamstring and couldn't go the rest of the game, so Seattle had to keep going for 2-point conversions throughout the game. Cowboys got on the board first with a field goal by Brett Maher, 3-0 second quarter. Janikowski kicks one 3-3, and then another one by Janikowski with a minute 43 left of the half to make it 6-3. 24 seconds left of the half. Prescott to Michael Gallup, 11 yards, made it a 10-6 game. Third quarter, 4-yard rushing touchdown by Russell Wilson. 2-point conversion run by Mike Davis was good. 14-10 Seahawks. Fourth quarter, Ezekiel Elliott, 1-yard run. 14-17. And then 24-14 on a Prescott 1-yard run with a little over 2 minutes to go. And then J.D. McKissick's 7-yard pass from Russell Wilson on fourth down with the 2-point conversion run by Chris Carson. Made it 24-22 for the backdoor cover people that had Seattle +3, +2.5, or even +2 at some places you pushed. But that was a nice cover for those of you that had +3 and +2.5 against the spread. Good look at today's games a little bit. At 1 o'clock on CBS, you have the Chargers and the Ravens. This is a big game for obviously both of these teams. Winner goes to Foxborough, and I believe it'll be the Chargers. I do think the Ravens have an excellent chance. The key for them is to take advantage of the porous somewhat of the Chargers' run defense, but I'm not confident that Lamar Jackson could keep throwing the ball this well. Phillip Rivers has the experience, and I think that that'll be a big help for the Chargers. And I love their offense. Their defense is actually pretty good, but their run defense surprisingly is not. Their secondary is solid with Derwin James back there. Eagles-Bears is the second game on NBC. The key to this one's obviously the Bears defense and Nick Foles, and whether the Foles magic continues, but the long-term success for the Bears in the playoffs is Mitch Trubisky and how he handles being in a big game. It'll certainly help if the Bears get off to a big start, and it takes less pressure off of Trubisky. If they're behind, all the pressure will be on Trubisky. And I do think the Bears will ultimately win the game, courtesy of their defense. Nick Foles isn't healthy. So I do think the Bears move on and they'll eventually face the Saints they'll face the Rams as the Cowboys will face the Saints. Now I want to get into college basketball. I'm just going to go through the scores from yesterday. No records or nothing like that. Number 8, Michigan State defeats number 14, Ohio State, 86-77. Number 10, Virginia Tech defeats Boston College, 77-66. Syracuse defeats Notre Dame, 72-62. Number 15, North Carolina defeats Pittsburgh, 85-60. Butler defeats Creighton 84-69. UCF defeats UConn 65-53. Alabama defeats number 13 Kentucky 77-75. St. John's defeats Georgia 97-94 in overtime. East Carolina upsets Cincinnati 73-71. Iona defeats Fairfield 94-87. LaSalle defeats UMass 69-60. UMBC knocks off Maine 61-52. Stony Brook defeats UMass Lowell 75-63. Army defeats Lafayette 77-69. Boston University defeats Bucknell 87-80. Green Bay defeats Cleveland State 90-89. Northern Kentucky defeats Detroit Mercy 95-73. UNC Greensboro defeats VMI 71-68. Maryland defeats Rutgers 77-63. Georgia Tech defeats Wake Forest 92-79. Villanova defeats Providence 65-59. Number 11 Texas Tech defeats Kansas State 63-57. Number 23 Oklahoma defeats Oklahoma State 74-64. Akron defeats Western Michigan 56-48. UNC Wilmington defeats Towson 67-61. VCU defeats Fordham 76-51. Monmouth defeats St. Peter's 61-44. Binghamton defeats New Hampshire 69-58. Arizona defeats Utah 84-81 in overtime. Northern Illinois defeats Ohio 72-66 in overtime. Winthrop defeats UNC Asheville 80-65. Central Michigan defeats Miami of Ohio 84-77. Western Carolina defeats Samford 76-69. Indiana State defeats Bradley 65-60. Valparaiso defeats Missouri State 82-66. Number 4 Virginia defeats number 9 Florida State 65-52. UMKC defeats Chicago State 80-72. Georgia Southern defeats UT Arlington 77-64. Yale Monroe defeats Arkansas State 85-75. Rice defeats Louisiana Tech 78-66. Troy defeats Appalachian State 89-85. North Dakota defeats Denver 80-59. Loyola Chicago defeats Drake 85-74. New Orleans defeats Houston Baptist 81-76 in overtime. Wright State defeats Oakland 89-73. Number 3 Tennessee defeats Georgia 96-50. Sacred Heart defeats Central Connecticut State 73-61. TCU defeats Baylor 85-81. Hofstra defeats Northeastern 75-72. James Madison defeats Charleston 69-58. William & Mary defeats Drexel 84-66. NJIT defeats Kennesaw State 72-52. Montana State defeats Sacramento State 84-70. UCLA defeats Cal 98-83. Marshall defeats Charlotte 85-84. St. Francis Brooklyn defeats Wagner 66-59. South Alabama defeats Coastal Carolina 84-77 in double overtime. Presbyterian defeats South Carolina Upstate 64-61. LIU Brooklyn defeats Bryant 79-70. East Tennessee State defeats Chattanooga 96-70. Furman defeats the Citadel 101-85. Illinois State defeats Evansville 58-46. Northwestern State defeats McNeese 66-61. NC Central defeats Bethune-Cookman 68-59. Hopkins State defeats Savannah State 73-67. Morgan State defeats Maryland Eastern 66-53. North Carolina A&T defeats South Carolina State 80-77 in overtime. Florida A&M defeats Howard 82-72. Eastern Illinois defeats SIU Edwardsville 84-81 in overtime. Campbell defeats Gardner-Webb 72-61. Radford defeats Longwood 71-64. Iowa State upsets or doesn't upset number 5 Kansas 77-60. That is not an upset because Iowa State was favored. North Florida defeats North Alabama 96-67. Robert Morris defeats Mount St. Mary 62-59. Georgia State defeats Texas State 73-69. Princeton defeats Penn 68-65 in overtime. Central Arkansas defeats Southeast Louisiana 73-71. Austin Peay defeats Morehead State 81-67. Youngstown State defeats Milwaukee 76-51. High Point defeats Charleston Southern 51-50. Lamar defeats Texas A&M Corpus Christi 61-55. Southeast Missouri State defeats Tennessee Martin 74-69 in overtime. Arkansas defeats Texas A&M 73-71. Loyola Marymount defeats Portland 76-64. Tulsa defeats South Florida 78-75. Davidson defeats Duquesne 65-61. Lipscomb defeats Jacksonville 77-74. Northern Colorado defeats Idaho 83-79 in overtime. Arizona State knocks off Colorado 83-61. FAU defeats Middle Tennessee 63-56. Belmont defeats Tennessee Tech 79-67. Jacksonville State defeats Tennessee State 69-62. North Texas defeats Southern Miss 65-62. Texas Southern defeats Alcorn State 87-70. Prairie View A&M defeats Southern 82-73. Alabama State defeats Grambling 74-53. Sam Houston State defeats Abilene Christian 71-68. Norfolk State defeats Delaware State 77-63. South Carolina defeats Florida 71-69. Delaware defeats Elon 77-55. Rider defeats Quinnipiac 72-67. Canisius defeats Siena 70-66. Manhattan defeats Niagara 90-80. Vermont defeats Albany 80-51. Liberty defeats Florida Gulf Coast 81-63. Old Dominion defeats Western Kentucky 69-66. Bowling Green defeats Kent State 86-64. Fairleigh Dickinson defeats St. Francis, Pennsylvania 79-61. Wofford defeats Mercer 78-74. Jackson State defeats Alabama A&M 54-51 in overtime. Number 1 Duke defeats Clemson 87-68. San Francisco defeats Pepperdine 72-69. Grand Canyon defeats Seattle 71-57. Oregon State defeats Oregon 77-72. UC Davis defeats Holy Names 90-60. UAB defeats FIU 84-65. Louisiana defeats Little Rock 75-61. Southern Illinois defeats Northern Iowa 58-51. Oral Roberts defeats Western Illinois 82-63. Incarnate Word defeats Nichols 65-58. New Mexico upsets number 6 Nevada 85-58. Now there are only 3 unbeatens left. Murray State defeats Eastern Kentucky 97-85. Ole Miss defeats Vanderbilt 81-71. Arkansas Pine Bluff defeats Mississippi Valley State 64-52. Texas defeats West Virginia 61-54. Number 7 Gonzaga defeats Santa Clara 91-48. Northern Arizona defeats Idaho State 81-69. Portland State defeats Montana 77-74 in overtime. Southern Utah defeats Weber State 90-82 in overtime. Utah State defeats Air Force 79-62. UTSA defeats UTEP 67-63. Yale defeats Cal State Northridge 94-90 in overtime. Texas Rio Grande defeats Cal Baptist 81-54. Cal State Bakersfield defeats Utah Valley 73-71. Long Beach State defeats Bethesda 124-52. Boise State defeats San Diego State 88-64. Fresno defeats Colorado State 78-67. UNLV defeats Wyoming 68-56. Washington defeats Washington State 85-67. St. Mary's defeats BYU 88-66. And San Diego defeats Pacific 73-64. To today's slate of games, only a few. 1 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, Seton Hall, DePaul. 12 o'clock on Fox. Number 16, Marquette hosts Xavier. NBCSN, Richmond, Dayton. Illinois Northwestern, 1 o'clock, Big Ten Network. Picks, I'm going to say Seton Hall, Marquette, Dayton, and Northwestern. Holy Cross and Navy, 2 o'clock, George Washington, St. Joseph's. I think St. Joseph's wins, George Washington covers. American and Colgate, Loyola and Lehigh. 3 o'clock, Dickinson State and North Dakota State. 4 o'clock, ESPN News, Temple and Wichita State. Give me Temple to pull off the road upset. Rhode Island, St. Louis. I think St. Louis there. NBCSN, St. Bonaventure and George Mason. I like George Mason there to win and cover to 5.5. 4:30, CBS, number 21, Indiana, number 2, Michigan. Give me Michigan the win and cover. South Dakota State and South Dakota. Number 24, Nebraska. Number 25, Iowa. 5:30, Big Ten Network. Give me Iowa to pull off the home upset. They're a 2.5-point underdog. 6 o'clock, ESPNU, Miami and Louisville. I think Louisville wins. Miami covers the 6.5. Memphis and number 19, Houston. I think Houston wins and covers the 8.5. 7:30, Big Ten Network. Number 22, Wisconsin at Penn State. Wisconsin's minus 1.5. This suggests it's a trap game, but I think Wisconsin wins and covers the 1.5. And 8 o'clock, ESPNU, Stanford and USC. I think USC wins and covers. NBA. The Nuggets defeat the Hornets 123-120. The Jazz defeat the Pistons 110-105. The Sixers defeat the Mavericks 106-100. The Pelicans defeat the Cavaliers 133-98. The Raptors defeat the Bucks 123-116. The Spurs defeat the Grizzlies 108-88. The Trailblazers defeat the Rockets 110-101. And the Warriors defeat the Kings 127-103. Today's slate at 3:30, Nets, Bulls, Lakers, Timberwolves, Magic, Clippers. 6 o'clock, Hawks, Heat. I should say Heat at the Hawks. 7 o'clock, Wizards, Thunder. 7:30, NBA TV, Pacers, Raptors. And at 8 o'clock, you have the Hornets at the Suns. NHL, last night's results. The Flames defeat the Flyers 3-2 in overtime. The Wild defeat the Senators 4-3. Bruins defeat the Sabres 2-1. The Maple Leafs crushed the Canucks 5-0. Predators defeat the Canadiens 4-1. Blue Jackets defeat the Panthers 4-3 in overtime. The Islanders defeat the Blues 4-3. The Kings defeat the Oilers 4-0. And the Sharks defeat the Lightning 5-2. Today's slate at 1 o'clock, you have the Hurricanes and the Senators. 4 o'clock, Rangers, Coyotes, Devils, Golden Knights. 5 o'clock, Capitals, Red Wings, Stars, Jets. 8 o'clock, NBCSN, Blackhawks, Penguins. I think the Penguins get the win on home ice. And the Oilers at the Ducks. Yesterday night, news broke during the Cowboys-Seahawks game that the New York Yankees have signed reliever Zach Britton, 3 years, $40 million, opt out after 2, and then there's a vesting option 4th year to the deal. Interesting contract, but overall a great signing by the Yankees. Britton didn't overly impress with the Yankees last year. He was coming off that injury. But this time around he should be healthy. And when healthy, he's one of the best relievers in the game. Great signing by the Yankees, especially the fact that they traded for him last year and gave up a lot to get him. So that's 2 free agent signings this year by the Yankees, by which they traded for them at the deadline last year. I'm talking about J. Happ and Zach Britton. Red Sox did the same thing with Steve Pearce and Nathan Eovaldi this offseason as well. And before I go, I'm going to do my best bet of the day. Only 4 games are on there, courtesy of DraftKings. It's the Vegas Golden Knights, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. 2-1, $1.63 wager to payout of $5.16. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping Chargers, Ravens, and Eagles, Bears. Previewing and picking the national title game tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. NBA, NHL, college basketball, and obviously my best bet of the day. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.